Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the DU crossover. I'm here with Tim Vacek from the SG The Scruffs, supporting One Knoxville. We'll be going up against One Knoxville in just probably about a week and a half or so. We're going to be on the road, two games against One Knoxville against a very stingy defensive side, which we'll hear about more here in just a little bit. But Tim, welcome to the crossover.
Thank you so much for having me, Sean. Really appreciate it.
So usual suspects in terms of topics. We certainly want to hear a little bit about that SG, the Scruffs. We didn't get a chance to meet up with you guys the first go around when One Knox came up to Fitzpatrick Stadium. So certainly this is kind of our first introduction to the SG side of things. And certainly, interested in kind of hearing a little bit of the backstory, a little bit of the genesis, if you will, of kind of how the Scruffs got together and kind of what they currently enjoy in season, what they do on the side, and certainly what they do a little bit on game day. And of course, we'll get into a little bit of the summary of both sides, kind of how they're doing so far from the beginning to current state in the season this year. And then we'll certainly be getting into the matchup of One Knoxville and Hearts of Pine, starting 11, highlighted players, and all that fun stuff. But Tim, if you could just give me maybe a little bit of background on the Scruffs, and maybe for my interest, how did you come up with the name of the Scruffs?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start there, I guess. Knoxville is known as Scruffy City, and we got that nickname. It dates all the way back to 1982 when we hosted the World's Fair, and there was actually a Wall Street Journal reporter that came to Knoxville, was sent down to Knoxville to figure out why is this city in East Tennessee hosting the World's Fair, and she didn't have very nice things to say about us, and she famously wrote this scruffy little city on the banks of the Tennessee River. And we thought, yeah, that sounds pretty good. We'll take that and we'll wear it as a badge of honor. So she meant it to be derisive, and we took it as something that we could roll with. And so Knoxville has been Scruffy City ever since. And so we are the Scruffs as hopefully the loudest ones in Scruffy City. So we started in 2022. One Knox actually didn't start in USL One. We started as a semi-pro side. In USL Two, our first season, we bounced around between local high schools and colleges. And we started back then. We were founded by Dakota Booth, who actually was. They have moved away. They've actually moved out to the other Portland, the one on the West Coast. And he was actually back in town for his first match in a while this past weekend. And you can actually, if you want to learn more about Dakota, you can go onto the club's official Instagram, and there is a really cool reel because while he was here in town, right before the match, he actually got a tattoo of our crest on his arm, and there's a pretty cool reel on the club's account to see the story of Dakota getting his One Knox tattoo. But so yeah, we were founded by Dakota in 2022. And we moved to Regal Stadium when the club moved up to USL One in 2023, and our numbers have grown steadily ever since. I kind of took over unofficially in 2023 as the leader when Dakota and his family moved away, and then starting in 2024, we started to have an official process of electing board members, and then the board members appoint the chairperson of the board, which is the
Hmm.
title that I've held officially the past 2 years. And then we started enrolling official membership starting last year. It was pretty low key, pretty unofficial until last year, and we decided to roll that out fully so that we could have perks and benefits of being an official member, and it also helped to fund our supplies so that we could hopefully improve what the match day experience was. And in our first couple of years, it was mostly just the kind of handful of loyal scruffs were taking all those expenses out of pocket, and so getting official membership starting last year really helped with that. as I'm sure we'll maybe get into with a little bit more detail later, we have moved into a new stadium this year in the old city, which is right in the heart of, it's just northeast of officially our downtown, but you can walk from downtown to the old city. And as we've moved there and have certainly the club have greater visibility, a bigger footprint in the market, our numbers have doubled from last year to this year, and we have over 100 officially registered members, and so we hope that we continue to grow those numbers as the club continues to kind of weave its way into the market. It's a really for your listeners who may not know, this is a pretty densely filled market already,
Mm,
because college football is king down here in the South,
mhm.
and we are Knoxville is the home of the University of Tennessee. So trying to wedge your way into a market that's dominated by Tennessee football is a challenge. But the club is growing, and the Scruffs are growing right alongside, which has been awesome.
Yeah, no, it's that's no small feat to what you're talking about here. Down there in your local area, you're right. American football is king down in that part of the country, and certainly down in the southeastern corner of the United States. That Florida, the Georgia, the Carolinas, all that stuff. Alabama, of course, and right up into Tennessee, where you guys are. That's all heavy, heavy American football. Yeah, that is definitely a big deal. And I think it sounds like moving a little bit more central to the city has been a big plus for One Knox. Do you agree?
It has been, the first real event that we did that down there, and the stadium wasn't even officially open yet. Was we announced our women's side this year. Prior to this year, we had not had a women's side, and it was an event in the old city where they announced the women's side and then did a reveal of our away kits for the 2025 season. And what they do is they actually shut down a block of Central Street, which is right down there in the heart of the old city. They stick a stage on one end and then kind of a barricade on the other end, and so you're right there in the midst of a bunch of local restaurants and bars, and they set up tents and vendors, and they've got a beer truck out there, and so of course they've continued that for select home matches over the course of the year, and I believe my schedule, if I have my schedule right, I think when you guys come next week, that is a block party week.
The
So it should be,
August
I'm sorry.
2nd. August 2nd is the date where we come down.
Yes, and that I believe that is a that's a block party date.
Okay.
That should be one where they're going to shut down the street, and it's a really European feel. And obviously, for all the matches, or all the matches that have been block parties, of course the players have not participated. But at that very first event, because it was not for a match, the players were able to participate. And obviously, we have quite a few players who are from Europe, and talking to them about just how European it felt that
Mm.
we're out in the street with a bunch of old buildings around us, and everything is local, and everybody's wearing their scarves and their kits and holding the beer, and it just felt very European, and felt very much like this should be the home of footy in Knoxville, and so it's been really great to be there, right in the heart of downtown, and of course the march in from wherever we are in the old city throughout as we parade through the rest of the old city and into the stadium, has become quite an event for the folks in the old city who maybe were not as prepared for seeing a bunch of idiots with drums and megaphones and singing songs and walking into the stadium.
The Knoxville area in Tennessee, I just kind of have this mental image, and maybe you can try to validate this for me. Is it kind of, really a blue collar type of area in Knoxville, Tennessee? Is that an accurate depiction of Knoxville?
Yeah, I would say so. Knoxville's, it's probably a bigger town than most people think, and a big part of that is that there are several little areas on the outskirts of Knoxville that also have a decent amount of population. So the kind of the greater Knoxville, when you include places like Maryville and then Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, which is right there on
Mm,
the
mm.
front door of Great Smoky Mountains National Park, you're actually looking at close to 1 million people when you start to incorporate all of those communities in there. So it's a pretty diverse community, but yeah, I think that's a pretty fair read of it.
Yeah, so you kind of get that blue collar feel there in a good portions of the area there down in Knoxville, and the SG, Mark the Scruffs, and that the defensive side of things. Man, it's really the pieces are all fitting together there for that mental image for what One Knoxville and the Knoxville area and how that all pieces together. Um, so you mentioned that you guys are up just north of 100 members on the SG, if I heard correctly. Do you have anything like during the week, any get-togethers or any sort of social events, maybe even in the off season or anything like that that the SG puts on at all?
Yeah, so we do a number of social events. We actually just this past weekend we hosted our second annual FIFA tournament or FC tournament. I guess the video game is no longer officially FIFA, which we call the Scruffy City Cup, and we always use it as a community service fundraiser. And this year it's a part of our youth club scholarship fundraiser. My son plays for the youth club, and we know just how expensive it is
Yeah,
to put somebody through youth soccer in this country.
you're not
It's
kidding.
not like most parts of the world where it's something that you can just do, and it's democratic and equitable, and everybody has access. We know that's not the case in this country,
Yeah,
and I've said this many times, but my wife and I feel really lucky that we're both career professionals and we can afford to let our son play soccer,
yeah,
but we recognize that that's a real financial hindrance for a lot of families. And so the past 2 years, we've done a fundraiser for youth club scholarships, and our FC tournament was a part of that this past weekend. There's a local bar that we're friends with the owner, and we got TVs all spread throughout the bar with a bunch of Xboxes going at once, and we always get a bunch of the first team players down to come and play against the kids and the adults who participate in the tournament, and it's a really good time. So we do a bunch of things like that over the course of the year. Community service is a huge part of what we want to do. We know that when sports are functioning at their absolute best, that they should be something that's unifying people through a hobby that they love, but it's creating a culture and a community of this is giving so much to us emotionally for us to go out and enjoy watching our boys play in the end a silly game. But what are
right.
we at? What are we doing in terms of giving back to this community that's given so much to us? And so we do a number of community service events in addition to our social events. But we've done everything from the FIFA tournament to a white elephant to just getting together and having. We'll sometimes have open board meetings where we'll invite all of our members to come and participate in kind of a democratic forum to talk about what's next for the Scruffs.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Sounds like you guys are doing some really good things down there. And that's some people just that are new to the SG and the soccer landscape no, don't really completely understand exactly what SGs do. They're just like, yeah, those are the guys screaming in the corner, popping off smoke when they score goals and stuff, right? It's like, yeah, well, that's like scratching the surface of what an SG does, but yeah. So no, that's SG is doing good things, and you certainly have certainly talked about quite a few good things you guys are doing down there, and that's great to hear. Up here in Portland, very similar stories. What SGs are supposed to be doing, engaging with the community, engaging with the club and the Hearts, and pride parades, and certainly we've got a small futsal court up here in Portland. It's called Kennedy Park, and it's where kids of all ages, all nationalities show up and basically come as you are and kick the ball around. You want to come on the court and you want to play some futsal, just show up. Literally, people showing up with no shoes, going out barefoot, and it's like, all right, you want to risk it? Come on out. We're not going to tell you no, but hey, we got some Crocs over here or some shoes if you want to put them on. Nah, I want to go barefoot. All right, man, it's all good. But going out there and having a good time and just those guys play. And we're up here in Maine. You guys, Tennessee, you get cold weather here. You probably get a little snow every once in a while yourselves. But up here in the Northeast, yeah, clearly no stranger to snow, and the kids not phased at all. Pull out the shovels, clear off the futsal court, and they keep on plugging. So, we had a little bit of a video of the primary owner of the Hearts of Pine, Gabe Hoffman Johnson, out there pushing a shovel himself and helping out the kids. And he played a little bit at the championship level back in the day, but injuries got the best of him, so it was a really short stint. I think he did about a year and a half, and So he can kick it around a little bit, right? He's still got the skill set, and having some fun with the kids out there, and it was a really good time, and they continue to be very involved with a futsal group over there at Kennedy Park. Not uncommon to see players just popping in every once in a while, and talking it up with the kids and all that sort of stuff, and cheering them on as they scoring some goals, and just kind of yucking it up with them a little bit, and just engaging with the community. That's really a large part of what clubs and even SGs are supposed to be. They're supposed to be engaging with their communities and helping out anywhere they can. Even our head coach Bobby Murphy had been seen down at the zoo, which is it's a local pub, soccer pub, if you will, down on Fox Street in Portland, Maine. Shows up with a couple of boxes of pizza, and he's just like walking around, like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Bobby Murphy. You want some pizza?" Uh, just stuff like that. It makes it fun. It makes it fun, and engaging with the different types of businesses in the area and stuff is a constant process, and we're certainly here for it. So. Just for the One Knox side of the house, in terms of kind of like what the SG looks like up here in the Northeast with the Hearts of Pine, um, we're enjoying just over 600 plus paid members in the Dirigo Union up here. So we are very, very privileged to have that type of SG group this early on. Where we are certainly aware of that and thankful of that. But numbers continue to grow, and certainly the attendance at the games has been pretty solid. And we like to think that the noise that we put out there from the Dirigo Union side of the house is top of the league. That's what we like to think. So we certainly have been very involved with different chants in terms of getting a bunch of ideas from the SG and the members, and putting those together. As far as the band and stuff, we typically will always have band practices on Wednesdays, and they show up, and it's open to the rest of the SG. If you want to just show up and listen to the band, you want to have a beer and socialize and stuff like that, we're down at Bunker Brewing on Wednesday nights, and we're basically it's another midweek social time, right? The work week sometimes gets long for us, some weeks, and sometimes you're looking forward to that Wednesday night where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to band practice this week. I just need to hear that music. I need to talk to some people and have something cold, right? So that's something that's been going on pretty much since the get go up here for the Dirigo Union, and I think it's a nice touch for the SG to kind of have that midweek. More times than not, it's a little bit of a light crowd, just the band members and maybe 6 to 8 others that are they're sitting around talking. But sometimes you get into some of these long weeks, like I mentioned, and you see the crowd getting a little bit bigger sometimes, and that's what it's there for, right? People know that if they need to or want to or have the time to or whatever the case may be, all of our lives are a little bit different and a little bit more hectic than others in some weeks. You can just go, yeah, you know what? I got some time. I want to go over and I want to check that out. And it's a great place to know that it's available to you. And when you show up, you're going to have a good time. And you get to talk to a lot of people about similar likes when it comes to soccer and the Hearts and everything else. So yeah, I think we're really doing that part right. One of the highlights that I always like to point out here for the Dirigo Union. But
That's
um,
fantastic. I jump in and say that we've been watching from afar, but we have been really impressed with the momentum that the supporters group and the club have in your community. And obviously, we're not watching it firsthand, but you can even kind of sense that through your social media accounts and things like that. It's been really impressive to see. And one of the things that I tell people who, as you mentioned earlier, who aren't as familiar with what we do as supporters groups, one of the great privileges I've had since we started this process is really getting to know all these folks who are working with the supporters groups in other communities, and have made some really good friends
Hmm.
in other cities. And it's always great on those road trips to catch up with those faces that I maybe haven't seen for a year. But it's great to see what USL as a whole is doing for soccer in this country as a whole, because I think it has meant a great deal to the growth of the sport, in terms of really seeing what can the sport be both on and off the pitch, as it continues to grow in the country.
Yeah, and to your point, when you hear USL League One and USL really for that matter, um, constantly talking about prioritizing community. What we're just highlighting right there is exactly what they're talking about, and it's the purpose of what these SGs and these clubs are supposed to be doing in these markets, right? Is doing all the things that we just got done talking about, and that is a very high priority on the USL's priority list in terms of what they want their clubs to be doing, and of course what the expectation is of an SG anyways is first and foremost exactly that. So just an example of just yet another example. Just last night we recorded a podcast from the forest to the tide, which you can find on the Derigo Union YouTube channel on the rooftop of Bayside Bowl in Portland. So most people would go by and go, "Man, that's a big building. I can't believe all that building is for a bowling alley. That's kind of odd. All right, keep on going, right?" And, they wouldn't know the fact that that's like a 3-story building, right? And yeah, all bowling down there on the first level. Got it. PBA actually comes through there. That's a stop for the Professional Bowling Association. Um, and there's a second deck on it that's a mezzanine that kind of overlooks the bowling alley and all that stuff. But they got a nice spot up there that you can fit 70, 80 people probably in that one little space. And we had a watch party there one game here for the Hearts, and it had a great time. And if you go up on the third floor, which is where we recorded the podcast last night, you're on the rooftop, and they've got like this old camper that they kind of have turned into like a cooking area. They got some griddles and stuff in there, and a flat top, and they're in there cooking food. They got an open bar, and they got tables, and you're on the rooftop of Bayside Bowl, looking out over the city, and it's like, man, what a nice spot. They got lights up top and everything. It's like you would never know this is here if you're just driving by, right? So. Getting back to knowing your community and pulling people together and making sure that people have got a visual on that stuff through podcasts and word of mouth and all that sort of stuff. Again, yet another example of what SGs and clubs do for a community. But I think it's time to move on into kind of a little bit of a brief summary, kind of what our clubs are currently doing from the beginning of the season and to currently where we find ourselves right now, and feel like if you want to hit up on any highlights or small stories along the way, that's what we're here for, Tim. So feel free to indulge a little bit. We certainly like to hear a little bit of stories from other teams around the league, and that's a big part of what this crossover podcast does is kind of pull in other teams from the league and kind of get to know each other and say hi a little bit, learn the backstory both on the SG side and the club itself, and a little bit of the struggles and a little bit of the successes that you may have experienced so far this year. So, Tim, tell us a nice summary about One Knoxville.
So it's been kind of an interesting season because of moving into the new stadium. We didn't play our first home game until April 26th, which I believe was still before you guys played your first home game, which was against us, if I
Yeah,
if I remember right, that 1-1 draw. So like you guys, we spent the first couple of months of the season on the road. And so from a supporters group standpoint, it was all of us getting together at watch parties week after week,
yeah,
because we weren't going to home matches. And then from a club standpoint, especially with us bringing in, we had a transition in the offseason to a new coach, and so he brought in a bunch of new players, which is going to happen. We've kind of learned that in our time supporting the club that's been maybe the hardest part to get used to, is that we come to know these guys really well, and then we also recognize that unfortunately there's a good deal of squad turnover
Yeah.
on a yearly basis. But so we really, that first month and a half, we didn't really get to see and interact with those new guys. But man, they started out absolutely on fire, and we had a really great start to the season. You mentioned already our defensive record, which has continued, but we also were scoring quite a few goals in the beginning of the season, and we picked up some really nice away results. I guess maybe the biggest of those was a 1-0 win at Naples back when I think that they were top of the league,
Hmm.
and they've since dropped back just a little bit, but started the season with a 2-2 at Spokane, which when you look at what they've done recently, even with the kind of the 3-point penalty that they just recently took, they've been fantastic. And so to think about the fact that we started the season with going up to Spokane and stealing a point and bringing that back home, that's a great way to start the season. And so one, we're kind of catching up in terms of home games, but the other thing is we're still catching up in terms of games, period. We still have 3 matches in hand from what most of the league has. And if we can go and get points in those 3 matches that we have in hand, then you're going to see One Knox continue to climb up the table. I believe we're sitting in fourth right now, fourth or fifth right now. But if we win each of those matches we have in hand, then we'll be first or second in the table. So that's been kind of the story of the first half, is knowing that we were going to have the second half of the season where we were going to play a whole lot more matches. Starting on Saturday, we'll have one of those mini weeks that we have in August and September, where we're going to play 3 matches in 8 days.
Hmm.
We're going to go Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. Now, this first match on Saturday is a Jägermeister Cup match against Eastridge, which they also have been eliminated from contention from the Jägermeister Cup. So I expect there to be some rotation in the squad on Saturday. However, they are our biggest rival in the league, and so it means something, even if in terms of a competition standpoint, it means absolutely nothing. It means a heck of a lot to us, and I know it does to the players as well. But so you mentioned us being here in the South. You look at the 10-day forecast here, and we're talking mid 90s just about every single day.
Hmm.
And I mentioned that we're going to have plenty of weeks where we're playing 3 matches in 8 days. That's a lot of minutes in 95-degree heat. So as we look at the second half of the season, yes, we have those matches in hand, and we want to capitalize on that and continue to climb the table. But it will be really interesting to see how our head coach Ian Fuller manages those minutes as the matches really start to come fast and furious. And definitely back to, again, you mentioning the defensive record. We're eager to see the goals start to flow in a little bit more. And over the past week or two, that's looked a whole lot better. We were a little bit. I know the boys were disappointed with the 1-1 draw to Westchester, which was our most recent result. But in the matches before that, we had a 3-1 win over AV Alta. I don't know that it was the match immediately before, but we had, let's see, a 2-1 win over Tormenta and a 3-0 win over Tormenta. So the goals are starting to come a little bit more, and we're hoping as we get into the back half of the season that those goals start to flow again as they were in the first half of the season, or the first month and a half or so of the season.
Yeah, so it sounds like One Knox is kind of going through a little bit of a scoring drought. It sounds like what you were explaining there, and as just of recent, started to find the back of the net again. Is that accurate?
Yes, that pretty much summarizes where we were.
Yeah, yeah. So hey, good news. You're in good company. Hearts going through the same thing. So uh, the summary for the Hearts is basically we kicked off our regular season with basically traveling out to Spokane. So we were in cup matches early on. Excuse me, with the Open Cup, and enjoying that fun with some of the local teams like our, Hartford and Rhode Island and CD Filands, an amateur club up here that that was our very first professional match again against CD Filands in the Cup. And then after one of those cup matches, we went out and traveled over to Spokane, and basically Coach Bobby Murphy after a short turnaround from one of those cup matches, said 5-4-1, and we're basically going to say break us down if you can, and that's going to be pretty much how we're going to play this game. It ain't going to be pretty, but we're going to try to scratch a point out of here. That's exactly what we did. Had a 0-0 draw at Spokane, so we echo that getting that 1 point with Spokane is definitely a good result, and to see what they have done, to date in the season, looks that much better when you go to Spokane and you get a point. So yeah, we'll definitely take that. So going through the year, we had a pretty serviceable defense, even more so in the first 3 or 4 matches. Where we enjoyed a couple of clean sheets in those first 4 matches, but since then, we started letting in a few goals. Nothing over the top. We're talking a goal or 2 goals, or that type of thing. So a typical soccer score, right? The problem is goals started drying up for us a little bit. So it saw the Hearts pile up a lot of draws. So we joke, we're passing the crown back and forth between ourselves and Forward Madison being the draw kings of USL League One, which is not necessarily a mantle that you want to enjoy if you're looking to be up towards the top of the table, right? So we needed to start turning some of those draws into wins, and basically as we got further into May and June. And of course, our first home match was against One Knoxville at home. I certainly don't want to skip over that. And I was there at basically every single home game. I think there was one that I had to miss, and I was there for that One Knox game, that home game. Very physical matchup between the Hearts and One Knox is what is certainly the first thing that I took away from that matchup. I think if you counted up the tackles and you counted up the fouls, I think probably at least for the Hearts, uh, one of the highest stats in both of those columns for our matches so far this year was that One Knox game. Very physical side for both the Hearts and One Knox. So I think that's probably going to be just a little bit of precursor when we get into the matchup. I think we're probably going to see similar type of soccer between these two sides. Very, very physical matchup. There's a tackle that I talk about ad nauseum in a lot of the podcasts, and when I'm bending some ears here in the SG, everyone knows that they can probably recite it word for word. Um, it's when Mikey Lopez in 9 minutes 15 seconds in the game clock snuffed out a counterattack off from a set piece, and I can't remember who the attacker was there for One Knox, but he was working down the middle of the pitch, and Mikey met him right at midfield with a beautiful upending tackle, caught the ball clean. One Knoxville upended, and ball one for the Hearts, and then and back on the attack again, but you know picture perfect tackle, and certainly got the SG excited. I was up in the box, a little bit of a media side is what I cover on the weekends, and I didn't hear the big roar that I was hoping to hear. So I think the press box maybe muted some of that after talking with some of my Dirigo Union counterparts. I was kind of going, what happened? Why are we not yelling for something like that? They're like, oh, you're up in the
Right.
booth. Believe me, we were yelling on this side. So I'm like, all right, I just need to hear it more from the stadium. So I guess when you're first kicking off in your very first season, I guess those are like learning points that the whole crowd kind of needs to get in and understand that yeah, that's something that you cheer for, right? So certainly going to enjoy some more of that play when we come see you guys August 2nd. And from there, and to continue my summary with the Hearts, the draws kept on coming, and the finishing in front of goal just wasn't there for us. Coach Bobby Murphy rotating Azad Liadi, which should be a familiar name to League One veterans in this league, and he is on loan to us from Lexington. So he is not signed by the Hearts. His contract belongs to Lexington. but he's loaned out to us, and him getting rotated with our rookie striker Titus Washington. Played his college ball out west, and certainly looks the part. 6'1", 188 pounds. He's definitely your prototypical striker, good with back to goal, passing off to attacking players. He does all the classic number 9 stuff well. But he needed to prove himself at a professional level, like all college kids need to do, right? And kind of learning a different level of his craft, right, at a professional level. And we were hoping Liati would help him do just that, and with the coaching staff that we have, looking to get him a lot of good information as quickly as we can. And yeah, as we got through, the first third of the season, you could tell that he was starting to pick it up. Little things that he was learning, like for example, when we went up against Rhode Island FC, championship side, was in the final last year. Um, they have got some massive, massive center backs. They don't come much bigger than what Rhode Island has for center backs, and it was one of those things where I think in the college in his college days and stuff like that, and maybe even early on against some teams in the USL League One, Titus probably feeling he can muscle a few people around. Well, he met his match when it came to Rhode Island because he was not muscling those boys off of anything. So in the first half, you saw Titus basically the equivalency of beating his head against the wall and not getting anywhere, right? And at halftime, Coach Bobby Murphy kind of saying, "Hey, I think maybe we need to go with Plan B, and maybe try a few different things." And wouldn't you know it, he took the coaching advice very, very well. And in the second half, he started running at shoulders, trying to turn those big men, right? Trying to use his speed. He's fast. He's fast for a striker, getting himself out in the channels and trying to come in at awkward angles and running across the back line, trying to get those big guys to move on their feet. And in the 61st minute, he got himself a goal. So he's very good in terms of taking on some coaching and showing it out there on the pitch. And it's just like anything else with people that are new to anything they do in life. You don't know what you don't know, but he certainly got the skill set to be a very good striker in this league. And he just actually had a brace that was against. Trying to remember who that was against. I can't recall exactly who it was against. He'll probably come to me here in just a second, but he had a brace against a club back in Fitzpatrick Stadium, and everyone was out there putting their arms around Titus because he works so hard for this club. He runs his legs off all the time, and he does everything right. And the only thing that was missing was the finishes in front of goal. And to see him get that brace was therapeutic for everyone involved. And Liati has been out of the side here for just the last 2 or 3 matches, and it's been a lot of Titus Washington. He's had a 2 or 3 games in a row, a little bit of a run of games, and so I'm looking at my phone here to go ahead and grab that side, and that was Greenville Triumph is who it was against. So he had his brace against Greenville, and also got a man of the match from the Derigo Union. Side conversation. Derigo Union puts out a man of the match wooden buoy. So it's a wooden buoy that is crafted by a local business here that wanted to get involved with the SG and wanted to see what they can do, and they make wooden buoys, and we said yeah, we definitely got a purpose for this. And
I love
uh,
that.
if you check out the socials for the Derigo Union or even the Hearts of Pine, you may spot back when we played Greenville back in mid-July, actual horizontal green and blue striped wooden buoy with a rope that's actually tied off by one of our co-chairs in the SG, Mitchell Ketchen. And he ties everything off. And basically what we do in the SG is we have a rotation of people that will come out from the SG and they'll present the Man of the Match award by Derigo and Union and the Wooden Buoy, and they'll do the presentation after the match is what they'll do. So once those two people present that to the player there at Fitzpatrick Stadium, those same two people will nominate the next two, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of how it rolls with the Man of the Match trophy and the Wooden Buoy. So you'll see that if you check out the socials, you'll see pictures of Titus Washington and that MVP trophy. But as of today, we finally find ourselves in eighth place, which of course, as you guys know, is the last playoff spot here in USL League One.
That
Um,
currently earns you a return trip to Spokane at the moment.
yes, it does. Yes, it does. Playoff style, but of course, we got 15 more games to try to see what we can do, if we can better that, or of course, at the very least, keep it and stay in the playoff hunt. Um, so we feel with the podcast that we just had, from the forest to the tide, we actually entertained this conversation of where do we think we're going to finish at the end of the year, and I think the large consensus was right in that fifth and sixth spot is kind of where we felt in reality where we'll probably end up finishing up, which is, of course, as we know, just short of a home match there in the playoffs. Um, does this team have it in them to get into a home match? Yeah, I think we do. We just need to actually see more of those performances like we saw against Greenville and we saw against Union Omaha, where we were defensively solid and we scored goals. If we see a lot more of that in the second half of the season, yeah, we could actually get ourselves a home playoff spot. But we need to see it. We need to be consistent, and we're a young team, and we all know that young teams are. It's hard to throw down that consistency, right? So we'll see what's in the cards for the second half for the Hearts. But that's basically the summary so far this year for the Hearts of Pine. Any questions for me, Tim, on the summary?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That pretty much covers it.
Okay. So now we're going to get into the meat of things here, and we come into the matchup here. So the Hearts of Pine are going to come down, and they're going to visit One Knoxville August 2nd. The first of two away fixtures for the Hearts down there to come see One Knoxville. So the first matchup, again, the previously mentioned back in May, ended up in a draw. A very physical matchup, like we spoke about, that tackle that I so much enjoy reliving over and over in my mind. Very physical matchup. A 1-1 draw is what we saw at Fitzpatrick Stadium. So, Tim, I'll go ahead and let you go ahead and start off in terms of kind of what you feel this matchup is going to look like. Maybe a quick run through your starting 11, and please feel free to highlight some players that the Hearts of Pine and the Dirigo Union supporters and stuff should probably be keeping an eye on when they're watching this at their away watch parties.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll pre-warn you that I'm gonna take kind of a cop-out answer to the starting 11, and for a couple of reasons. One of them I've already alluded to, in that, I do expect, as we have a number of these weeks coming up where we're going to be playing several matches a week,
Yeah,
that Ian is going to have to manage the minutes of players really carefully. So I'm not going to give you a starting 11. What I'm going to give you is, over the course of Wednesday, Saturday, with those two matches, the 11 that I believe will have the most minutes in those two matches, based on kind of where the squad sits. We have several players who are dealing with injury at the moment. One of them, James Thomas, who has been out since the beginning of the season, that made the bench for the first time in our last match against Westchester, and I'm really hoping that on Saturday in Eastridge that he gets an opportunity to even get 20 or 30 minutes in his legs. But that's one of the two original members of our first team that we still have in the first team. Um, Way back in 2022, he was wearing the captain's armband, as having just graduated from college at Austin East High School. And he is, we sing, he's one of our own, because he has been with us from the very beginning, and he is an incredible human and an incredible soccer player as well. And we're excited to see him hopefully start to get back on the pitch soon. We've got Kempis Tequila, Stuart Ritchie, and Mark Doyle, who are all nursing injuries as well. And so I'm going to leave them out of my predicted 11, because I'm not really sure what to anticipate in terms of how long that they're going to be out. With Doyle in particular, he had missed a stretch of time earlier in the season. He picked up a hamstring injury. I'm trying to remember, was that even in the match against you guys? It may have been. It was sometime in May,
There was yeah,
when he was injured.
there was a hamstring
So
injury in that matchup, and I think you're spot on. I think that was it.
and early in the year, that was we had this front three. The attacking band across the front was Mark on the left and Kempis through the middle, and then Stavros Zarokostas on the right. And both Stavros and Mark bring so much flair, creativity, and pace to that attack, that they really made it difficult on some of those defensive lines, to be able to figure out what do you choose, because both of them are going to try to get in behind and try to pick out Kempis. And Kempis is a really interesting center forward in that he has in his career, he's also played as a 10 and as an 8. So he is maybe the best finisher that the club has ever had, and he is really clever with his movement in the box. But he is also not scared to drop back and receive. And his link up play when Doyle and Zarokostas are healthy, and they're trying to get in behind is I think pretty scary for opposing defenses. But as I mentioned, several of those guys are out at the moment. So I'm gonna guess that it will probably be Johan Garibay in goal, and then out on the left, probably Danny Fernandez, who is a center back by trade, but with Stuart Ritchie's injury, Danny has slotted out there at the left and seems pretty comfortable. And then Sibert Haugley and Jordan Skelton there at center back. Sibby is one of the most versatile and talented players in the squad. And I think if Ian had his pick, he would probably be playing him in his midfield three in the 8 role. But Civi is perfectly comfortable. He is huge. He's 6'5", and every inch of it. And so he's really dangerous in the air. So he has no trouble dropping back next to our captain Jordan Skelton in that other center back spot. And then you'll see Jaheim Brown at right back, who has been an absolute revelation for us this year. He is one of our new boys, one of our new signings this year. And with Jamesy's injury, that's meant that Ja has had to shoulder the vast majority of the minutes at right back, and he has been unbelievable. And in the win against AV Alta last week, he scored his first goal for the club, and scored it outside the box with his left foot as a right back. So it's if you haven't seen that goal, check it out, because it's a great goal, and it was a great moment for him, and one that was well deserved because he has been so good for us since the beginning of the year. I would expect the midfield three, so we'll probably be running a 4-3-3. That's been kind of the starting formation in most matches, and I would expect that midfield three to probably be Callum Johnson, Angelo Kelly, and Mikel Gurley, with Mikel probably the one that's the most advanced of those three, playing in the number 10. But the one thing, and some of your folks may know the name Angelo Kelly if they followed USL before Hearts of Pine was a club, because he was a Pittsburgh Riverhound back in the day, and he has ageless legs. That man can run, run, run. And so even though Mikel will probably be the most advanced of those three, expect for both Ange and Callum to make those late runs into the box. And then the front three, you will see Stavros out on the right wing. And if Kempis is not healthy, it'll be Babacar Dien, our leading scorer, in there at center forward. A bruising center forward that will make things physically challenging for any back line that he plays against. Really good goal scorer, really good in the air, but also just a handful to deal with. We talked early in a lot of those watch parties. We were on the road, and Kempis was playing maybe 65 to 70 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then Babacar was coming in at that point. And I'm just thinking about the center backs who have been chasing Mark Doyle and Stavros Zarokostas as they've been running in behind, and they've been chasing those guys for 65, 70 minutes. And then they look over to the halfway line, and they see somebody who looks more like an NFL middle linebacker than a center forward that they're then about to have to deal with. And that's Baba, and he's been fantastic. We've loved having him. He's another one of our new boys this year, and he's been a great addition to the squad. And then probably at left wing, you kind of mentioned the growth of Titus Washington, I'll say that the player that we've had that's been very much like that this year has been Nico Rosamilia. He will probably, if Mark is not healthy, be the one out there on the left. He is a rookie coming from Rutgers, and definitely you could see the promise, you could see the potential in those first few matches, but it was also him kind of feeling his way into the pro ranks and figuring out how to make that leap from college soccer to professional soccer. And boy, has he come on leaps and bounds over the past month and a half. He's been the energy. He's really lively when he's on the ball. He is always looking to make things happen, and he's turned into a goal scorer for us as well. He seems to have a knack for. I'm also a Tottenham Hotspur supporter, so I will say that when I watch him play, I see his knack for arriving at the far post, very much like Brennan Johnson. So if you have watched the Premier League, and it's whether you're a Spurs fan and you love it or you are not, and he drives you crazy. But Brennan Johnson just always seems to pop up right there at the far post, ready to tap it in. Nico's got that knack in him too, so they'll definitely want to be aware of him arriving and having the ability to finish, as Stavros frequently is looking to kind of get to the byline and then cut it back for one of those other forwards who are coming into the box.
Yeah, we definitely got some Spurs supporters in the DU, and I can certainly hear picture a few of them snap to attention when you're making a Spurs comparison. And actually, believe it or not, Coach Bobby Murphy for the Hearts of Pine is also a Spurs supporter. So.
See,
Uh,
I knew I loved you all as another club for us. I feel it's a great relationship that we have here between the Deergo Union and the Scruffs. I love it.
So yeah, for the Hearts, typical starting 11. I think probably for the Hearts that you're going to see is we'll start off with the obvious with Hunter Morris. Will certainly be between the sticks for the Hearts of Pine. Ben basically our starting keeper from the get go. Cash Oladapo, our number two keeper, certainly has come out and participated and done actually pretty well in the cup competitions for us, particularly the Jägermeister Cup was where Cash made some starts for us, and certainly a very good backup keeper. But Hunter Morse will wear the gloves for the Hearts of Pine when we go ahead and play against One Knoxville. So starting on our back line at left back, pen him in every single time. It's gonna be Nathan Messer. He wears number 3. I think he's like top 3, top 4 in crosses in basically League One, and very dangerous down the left-hand side. Left-footed, of course, on the left-hand side, helps out with those crosses. Set pieces, don't be surprised if you see number 3 standing over the ball. As of late, we picked up another player we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Hasn't been basically um, um, a lot of hasn't been a lot of opportunities for Nathan on set pieces, but he's certainly very very capable of whipping a ball in from some 25, 30 yards out up in the top hand corner. So Nathan Messer, very dangerous player for the Hearts of Pine in the attack, and one of my highlighted players. So certainly want to keep an eye on number 3, our left back for the Hearts of Pine. So starting next to him is going to be Kamali Green. Wears number 66, center back for us. He's about 6'2", fresh out of college, so this is his first professional year. And in that podcast that I mentioned that we recorded just last night on Bayside Bowl was basically my most improved player for the first half of the year. Much like the college players that you talked about in your side, kind of learning the lay of the land a little bit. And we've recently brought in a seasoned center back, Sega Koulibaly, the same Sega Koulibaly that played for LA Galaxy not too long ago. So he got brought in, and we ended up releasing one of our center backs, and Kamali has been basically the last 2 or 3 matches has been actually been playing very very well. He's left-footed. He is very comfortable on the ball and passing up into the midfield and beyond to start the attack. is certainly one of the options for the Hearts is to have Kamali Green with a ball at his feet, looking to start the attack down the wings. Standing next to him, our defensive stalwart and seasoned center back, is Sean Vinberg. He wears number 7, and Sean, very very savvy center back, has seen it all before, if you will, and is certainly is basically the tutor, if you will, for young Kamali Green. Starting to the right side of him, number 21 is Colby Quinones. He is a Puerto Rican player that plays for his country, and he is a right center back, and has also been coming on pretty strong the last 3 or 4 matches as well. He had been spending a little bit of time in and out of the lineup with one of our other players that are in the midfield. We'll talk about here in just a little bit. At right back, we had an injury at right back. Jaden Jones-Riley went down pretty early in the season, and Coach Bobby Murphy was just trying to rotate people in and out, trying to find a solution at right back. We actually picked up another player from the same college that Titus Washington actually played in, Mo Mohammed, and he came in and actually got some time in there at right back. And but the last three or four games, Colby Quinones has made that spot his, and he's been on the team sheet right along. Right back is going to be starting lineup Colby Quinones for the Hearts. Moving up into the defensive midfield, typically you're going to see the Hearts play a 4-2-3-1 is what we're going to usually see for the Hearts for a formation. So we are going to have a 6 and an 8, but you're going to probably see that 6 and 8 pretty much side by side for more times than not, right? So our true number 6 and captain for the Hearts of Pine is Mikey Lopez. He wears number 6. I take that back. He wears number 5. He wears number 5, and so he's he's basically captained the side. That armband has been passed along between Mikey Lopez, Sean Vinberg, and Patrick Langlois. Primarily is where that armband has traveled around. But usually, if Mikey Lopez is on the field, it's on his arm. So he is basically the captain of the Hearts of Pine. Starting next to him, number 8 is Michel Poon Angeron. He is a Trinidad and Tobago international. Got some caps with the national side, and he didn't make it down to the Gold Cup just recently, but he's got some caps. He's considered an international, and he's actually really good at a little bit of everything, which is a natural number 8, right? We actually had a game where Ollie Wright had a hat trick against Union Omaha, and the individual that was supplying those passes was Michel Poon Angeron, 2 of which came over the top from midfield, inches above the center backs' heads. And when it landed, it had enough backspin on it where it just checked up on that turf, and Ollie Wright had to do very little to control the ball and then deposit it in the back of the net. Michel Poon Angeron, a big reason why Ollie Wright had his hat trick there against Union Omaha. Watch out for number 8. My other highlighted player for the Hearts of Pine. We get up to that front 3, if you will, just behind the striker and just in front of that back 2. Left wing is going to be number 10, Ollie Wright, previously mentioned for that hat trick and Union Omaha, and really matches up well with Nathan Messer down that left hand side. A very popular side the Hearts like to move the ball is down that left hand side, where they've got Messer, MPA, and Ollie Wright passing off to each other to navigate down through the defense on the left-hand side. The popular side is that left-hand side for the Hearts, and Ollie Wright is certainly a big part of that on the business end of things. To the right side of him is Masashi Wada, wears number 77, comes from Japan, Yokohama, Japan, played up and down the J League, and was interested in coming over to the U.S., and our goalkeeping coach came from New England Revolution 2, Yuta, and they had an organic relationship, made a call, and next thing you know, Masashi is putting on the blue and green for the Hearts of Pine, and we're certainly very happy to have him. All of a number 10, Very, very good with the ball at his feet, as you would imagine. Some kind of describe him as like a sticky type of player. The ball just seems to stick to him. Always in control. Very seldom are you going to see a bad touch or a heavy touch from Masashi Wada. Really good at running into space on the attack, opposite of Titus Washington. Getting in on the back post, creating space. More importantly, is certainly a big thing that Masashi does for this Hearts side. Great to have Masashi Wada sitting in the cam for the Hearts of Pine. Off to the right hand side of him is you're going to have number 80. Um, that's Kamara, and JT Kamara wears number 80 for the Hearts. Very short in stature, very like stop, start, shifty type of player. Loves to dribble in from the right hand side, pull defensive markers with him to create space. Another space creator. In addition to Masashi Wada for those attacks, and really loves to break some ankles. The dribbler of the Hearts of Pine, number 80, JT Kamara. And of course, up top, our striker, the young Titus Washington, which we hope is just coming up on plane, and we're going to really make a habit of putting the ball in the back of the net because the Hearts certainly need it. Who wears number 14, like I said, 6'1", 188. He's going to have some fun with those big center backs you got. He's going to need some help. But hopefully, shades of Rhode Island going against those monsters. We'll come back to him, and maybe he can play some tricks on those big guys, and certainly he will need some help from his team. Maybe we'll see two strikers. Maybe Azad Liadi will jump in there, but he's not going to be part of my starting 11. I'm going to say we're going to play with a single striker. And maybe Wada can come up and like I talked about earlier, maybe create some space and work with Titus on those big center backs you have up there, and see if we can turn some guys around and open some space up in behind the line, pass in behind the line, and try to make some of our scoring chances in that regard. That's what I'm hoping the Hearts will be able to do against a very tough and defensive-minded Union Omaha team when we meet on August 2nd. But that's kind of my rundown, I think, for the starting 11 and highlighted players. And we're going to go ahead and get into some predictions here in just a little bit. So I'll go ahead and get the wheels turning. I'll go ahead and start off with predictions. Have some fun with the predictions in terms of who's doing what and all that fun stuff. That's what some of this stuff is all about: podcasting, SGs, supporter groups, and for these soccer teams that we love to go and spend some time and money with, and then we it's all part of the enjoyment, right? So have some fun with the score prediction. So let's see. I think the Hearts of Pine are going to go down to visit One Knox August 2nd. Very defensive, physical matchup. I think goals are not going to be plenty. I think it's going to be a scratch it out, physical, bang up, yellow card type of matchup. Certainly in that heat that you spoke about, will certainly help contribute to that. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 1-0. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a very defensive matchup. I think it's gonna get testy. I think cards are gonna start coming into play in the second half of the match in terms of compilation. I'm going to say we don't see any red cards, but it's gonna be close in terms of double yellows and such. I think the physical style and the heat is going to probably flare some tempers, and I think they may need to get separated every once in a while. Um, and I think it's going to be a 1-0 matchup, 1-0 score line. I'm going to say Masashi Wada gets the goal, and of course, the Hearts win 1-0 at a very tough matchup against One Knoxville. Tim?
I'm going to say that the dam maybe is finally broken, and that we're gonna find the attack again. But I'm also gonna say that because we've got that big match on Wednesday, just a few days before we welcome you guys to town. That maybe you guys steal an early goal, and it's a bit of a wake up call for us. And so we go down 1-0, but in the second half, we're going to say they're attacking the fort, which is the section that the Scruffs are in, and we're going to do what a supporters group does, and that's suck the ball into the back of the net when it's coming right toward us. And so it's going to be 2-1 to One Knox. And I'm going to say that what we haven't seen yet this year, so Angelo Kelly, who's been with us since our first pro year, as a midfielder, that number 8 who loves to run, loves a challenge, and loves a good hard tackle. And I'm actually going to have to go here in a minute because my son is actually going to train with Angelo
There you
here in
go.
here in just a few minutes. But what we haven't seen from him yet is something he's known for a couple of times this season. He will score an absolute banger, and we have not seen one yet this season. So I'm going to say Ange is due for his screamer. And so he's going to score one in the 85th minute, outside the box, run up to the forts, and it's going to be 2-1 to One Knox and 3 very important points for the Scruffy boys.
All right, sounds good. And you tell you what, the Hearts are due for one of those too. I don't think I've recalled seeing one of those, laser type shots that just almost burn the back of the net. They hit so hard, right? Some 25 yards out or 20 yards out or somewhere in that neighborhood where someone just runs onto one and absolutely crushes it. I don't think the Hearts have seen that one quite yet. So we're kind of due as well. It's just a matter of time. And I think the one to do it eventually, I'm not going to call it in this matchup, but I think the one that is eventually going to do it is Patrick Langlois, which may be a familiar name for the Northern Colorado faithful from last year. He was their starting center back last year for the Northern Colorado team that went, I think, to the semifinals last year, and was a number 2 side, I think, on the league standings. So that he belongs to the Hearts, and he's just coming back off of an injury. He had an ankle injury. I think he's had a sprained ankle, and he's just starting to come back into the side. He's not 90 minutes fit yet, but don't be surprised if you see him come in as a substitute in this matchup. Number 6, Patrick Langlois. So, Tim, I certainly enjoyed the conversation. Certainly appreciated learning
Same.
more about the SG and One Knox and the lay of the land. And I'm very much, I kind of lean to that defensive side of things. So, like, this is like a matchup that I'm all about, and I'll certainly be on the front of my chair, or couch, or wherever I may be watching, even at the watch party the Dirigo Union will have, and I'm going to be enjoying the physical matchups as people are screaming about wanting to see goals. I'm going to be with a smile on my face, watching the tackles and the physicality and all the fun stuff that goes with those types of matchups. Um, Anything further, Tim? Anything for me? Any questions you want to make sure you get answered before we sign off?
No, I'll just say 2 things. I guess first off, that anybody that you do have who might be coming to town, you guys are more than welcome to come hang out with us at the block party. It'll be a great event, and we'd love to see you down there. Look for me. I'll have I normally have the megaphone strapped to my back before we're marching in, so that I'm not carrying it around before the match at the block party. But we'd love to meet you, and really hope you enjoy Knoxville and the old city. So anybody who's listening, who's making the trip down to East.
Looks like we lost Tim. He before we started, Tim did say that they were experiencing some internet difficulties in the area, and we made almost to the very end without having that bad experience. But certainly, I know Tim is on a time crunch. He did certainly make note of it, that he's going to bring his kid to some practice and have some fun with him and have fun with just the great part of soccer and that that adult and kid conversation and experience that he gets to have. So we certainly want to thank Tim for his time. And certainly you can catch Tim over on the Scruff socials, over on Instagram, and the website as well. I believe it's thescruff.com is where you can find Tim. And certainly had a great conversation with him. Let's see if we can go ahead and admit him back in live.
Hey, Sean, sorry about that.
Hey, it's all right, man. I was going ahead and basically wrapping up for you, and certainly mentioned that this was a little bit of a known risk coming into this thing, and we almost made it all the way through. So it's not a big deal.
Almost. Well, what I had to do is to keep the microphone plugged in. That meant that could not plug my phone in, and my phone almost made it to the end, and then it lost. And I still don't have internet. So the last thing that I was going to say, and I don't know if you're still recording or not, or if you
Yep.
want if you okay. So the last thing that I was going to say is we really appreciate what you guys have meant to the league. We think that USL is really special because it's all about those local grassroots clubs that really invest in the community and make it where you've got another reason to be proud of your hometown. And very much Portland Hearts of Pine, we can tell that you guys fit that DNA. And so, as much as we want to beat you every 90 minutes that we play you, we're glad that you're in the league, and welcome to the league. And I know that I speak for my family in that we go to a lot of away matches, and the number one away trip that we have on our list is getting up to Portland. We're excited to hopefully at some point soon get up and see a match.
All right, Tim, and I tried to do a little bit of shine some light on your socials, but before we can go ahead and get out, please let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find us on Instagram at Knox Scruffs. And you can also, there's a Facebook group as well, but the main area for you to follow us is at Knox Scruffs on Instagram.
All right, thanks again, Tim. Really do appreciate the time and the conversation we had. Can't wait for August 2nd when the Hearts of Pine visit One Knoxville on USL League One regular season. And if you can't be watching on ESPN Plus, please feel free to go out in a watch party near you and get with your SG and watch it together. Or better yet, be at the stadium and watch Hearts of Pine and One Knoxville in what is going to be a very physical and entertaining matchup. Tim, one more time, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. It's been a pleasure.